Get 15% off a set of BrakeMess Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors now at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hello, welcome to Decorating Pages. I am your host, Kim Wanup. Welcome to the podcast. How's it going? I hope you had a great 3-day weekend. Oh, it's so nice to be off, isn't it? And it was like humid this weekend in LA a little bit. Kind of reminded me of back east, which was kind of nice. A little bit humidity. It's not what I moved here for. I didn't move here for humidity and mosquitoes, but they seem to be coming into this climate every year a little bit more and more. It's crazy. But it's nice to have a day off, but right back to the grind tomorrow. I'm going to start off with a bit of sad news. I have to share the news of the passing of fellow set decorator Casey Fox, who was not only a remarkable talent, but also such an inspiration to so many decorators. And I had the pleasure of knowing her and the pleasure to talk with her on many occasions, to laugh with her. I worked with her brother, who was a prop master on Bones, and she just always filled the room. You knew she just had just such a great personality. And so it's a real loss, and she had been sick, and I know that the fight for cancer and everything is, I'm sure she fought it very strongly, and unfortunately it's just a sin. So I'm sorry to share that news, but if you go to her memorial website, which I will have the link in the emails that I send out about the podcast. You should have got one this morning. You can donate to her charities, or you can see people who have shared many stories about Casey, and also many pictures of her and all that. So she will be missed. She was such a fantastic decorator, and truly like inspiring. I mean, just some of her work was, she did over 100 episodes of Criminal Minds. She did the pilot of Shameless. She, I think recently was working on that new Doogie Calamora reboot, United States of Terror. She did so many films. So yeah, she will be missed. I will miss her. It seems weird to talk about other things in life when you talk about someone passing. Like, it doesn't seem like anything else is important, really. But I know that the work that we do and the passions that we have, you know, we leave behind a mark in this industry. And I would say that that is one of the reasons I do this podcast, is to try to open up and have people come into our world and talk about and listen to what's going on in our production design, set decorating part of the world. So I hope that, I don't know. What am I watching? Who cares? No, I'm kidding. I care. What am I watching? I watched Horizon, the film Horizon, which is on Max, which my friend Derek R. Hill production designed. And that is the Kevin Costner saga, which is going to do 2, I think he's going to do 4 of them. I think that was a plan. I'm not sure. Decorated by Brian Hurley. It's pretty astounding in the sense that they had, you know, beautiful skylines and everything, and had to build everything from scratch. So it's production design wise, it's pretty amazing, I would have to say. There's a lot of stories going on in this film. I guess because it's supposed to be over 4 movies, there's just a lot going on, and you like hate the white people, and then you hate the American Indians, and then you love them, and then it's like it tears you back and forth, and it's a little heavy. But I definitely would be interested to see the next one, and I love Kevin Costner. I mean, can't go wrong. Casey. And then I threw on a throwback the other night, the new Beverly Hills Cop, which was production designed by Jamin Essa and set decorated by Jennifer Lukehart, who has been on this podcast a couple times. And it's takes you right back. I really like they use some of the same music, some of the same location, like the characters are all back. Judge Reinhold is like kind of unrecognizable. It's crazy. But Eddie Murphy was great. Story's a little whatever, but it's Beverly Hills Cop. Like, just watch it. It's fun. It's on Netflix. I liked it. And new book I'm reading. Finished many. It's called Directed by James Burrows, read by James Burrows, and I'm only up to, I think, chapter 4 or 5. And so far I've heard about his upbringing and his start in theater, and then the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and now I'm up to him in his first show of Taxi. And I forgot to write it down. I've gone back the last 2 nights and watched episodes of Taxi. I hate that theme song. I don't know, it's too eerie for me or something. But the acting in Taxi is pretty good. Like, Judd Hirsch is really good. I watched the pilot, and then the second episode. It's all really good. I don't get Andy Kaufman. I guess, later on, I guess we'll get it, but I don't get him at all. I don't get the attraction. And so that brings me to this episode. I had the pleasure of getting a screening of the film Sing Sing. And, you know, I have said lately, I feel like maybe we're coming back into an era of these small independent films being really meaningful and catching fire. And I hope, you know, the 90s really had that going on. So I'm hoping that's what this trend is, because so many great filmmakers came out of that era. But in this episode, I chat with the talented production designer Ruta about her work on the film Sing Sing, which stars Coleman Domingo as Divine G, an innocent man who was in prison for 25 years, but he finds purpose through a theater group in the prison. Ruta's dedication to authenticity shines as she collaborates with previously incarcerated cast members to recreate spaces like their cells, the theater sets, and the clemency hearing room. She paid very meticulous attention to detail, sourcing Divine Jean's exact prison typewriter, crafting butterflies from candy foil, and even recreating clemency documents that were actually his documents. The writer of the film is in the film, a small role, so he was there to help, you know, with details about the story, which is great. The story is very emotional, and it's a true story, and a sad one, I must say. I think it's really sad because he spent 25 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, and then in doing so helped other people get out and you know, rehabilitated through this theater program. It's quite amazing. So it was just a joy to talk to her about this and to learn about this program, and it's a really good film. So I hope you enjoy.
You can see Ruta. That's totally fine.
Okay, I'll try both. I want to do it your way. I want to do it right. I butcher everyone's name, so I really want to try to get it right.
Okay. Or you can be like, or you can see Ruta.
Yeah, Ruta.
Be super
Ruta. Beautiful. It's a beautiful name. I was just like, oh,
Thank you.
I'm gonna.
It's like It's like Ruth in English. It's a Lithuanian version of Ruth.
Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful name.
Thank you.
Um, how did you not only get into the project, but how did you get into designing? Like, were you always into design? Were you just, like pushed into it, or did you fall into it? Some people do.
Mm. Yeah, I really kind of fell into it. I mean, I studied art almost my whole life since I was like whatever, 10, and and was kind of destined that I will pursue something like this. And I studied stage design for theater, which makes sense in hindsight. But at the time, I was like, oh, I'm not like, I need to learn skills.
Yeah.
I cannot do anything. And I studied visual communication, which like the curriculum was more like just fine arts, just like all kinds of, all kinds of things, just art in general. Yeah, and then slowly I got sucked into the industry of commercials.
Mm,
I just started to design them.
yeah.
That's a short story how I got into it.
Commercials are hard. I'm not into commercials. It's too hard. I feel like, well, first of all, I feel like a buyer, which is fine, but then I don't know my
Yeah.
place. I just don't know my place, and like we need another option now, and you're like, now? You're shooting. What do you mean? Like shouldn't we have talked about options? That's how usually production does. Like I don't know. I get
Yeah, I totally get it. I think, yeah, sometimes set decorating on a commercial is kind of a thankless job. And I think exactly what you said, like you're a buyer because there's so many decision makers. Like there's not just one
yeah.
director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I once did a commercial, and it was like a bunch of 12-year-olds saying like, "I don't know about that pillow." And I was like, "Well, I do. I do." Like it's like I don't know, like 'cause and I don't know that I'm not supposed to say that to them because 'cause I'm just like, I don't know. They're like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "No, I do. That goes with that. Like that's why I put it there. Like that's I don't know. I just was not asked back. So I guess that's my but I
Mm,
just but commercials are hard. And then but I do know but what's good about commercials is a lot of good directors come out of commercials. I mean, you think of like Fincher and
yeah.
Ridley Scott and like all the like directors and everything come out of commercials or go back
Yeah,
to
for sure.
commercials.
Yeah. And I think from a design perspective, commercials sometimes really allow um to create some like whimsical worlds,
Yeah. Yeah.
something that's not really based in reality, even more like a little bit, I don't want to say a little bit more theatrical, but there is a possibility to do that, which I think is a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's quick. I mean, in a good
Yes.
way
Oh,
and
yeah.
a
For
bad
sure.
way. It's
Yes.
because I think one of the two things that is great about our job sometimes is if you're on a project and it's great, you're like, "Oh, I don't want this to end." But if you're on a project and it's bad, you're like, "I can't wait for this to end." And it does end pretty quickly.
Oh, for sure.
As hard as it
For sure.
is, there is always an end date. So that's pretty key in our world.
Yeah. And you also just get to meet so many amazing people.
Yeah.
And the quick turnaround allows you to meet even more great people. Or um, um, recently, I've been working more internationally on commercials, so that allows me to see all these different places and
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
and to learn how people work in different countries or cities and just to know them. It's just such a blessing. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the opportunities of travel and anything that we get, it really is cool. It really is. Like I know even this, like I've shot in a prison and it's terrifying. And I was like, when else in my life am I gonna be? I don't know if it was a prison, it was probably a jail, but like, oh no, they were. But it's terrifying. And it's like, when else am I gonna be? And it's something like this. Like the opportunities that we get are amazing sometimes. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Where was that prison? Did
The
you
one I did?
scout it?
The one I
Mhm.
did was down by San Diego. I don't
Mm.
remember what it was called. And then on Bones, we did this little jail out in like, what's it? I don't know, outside of LA, like a little bit outside of LA, Whitford or what, I forget, begins with a W. But the
Mhm.
big one we did was down by like the border. Like you could see like
Mhm.
Tijuana or something. It was like so scary. But
Mhm.
but yeah. So where was your jail? Where was your prison?
Oh, our prison was it was a decommissioned prison in Hudson Valley in Beacon
Mm,
in upstate New York.
in upstate.
Yeah, it was decommissioned like a few weeks ago before we came in.
Oh my God, it's fresh. It
Yeah.
was freshly. Wow, that's the one I was in was not. Why it was old. It was no one had been there for years. That's even
Mm.
scarier. I think that's really scary. There could be someone hiding in there.
No, not really. No, they're mostly ducks. It was
Ducks.
just like this colony of ducks that took over. Yeah, they were just invading the prison.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. So did you location scout more than one or did you know like hey, we only got like really this one location?
No, it was really up to our incredible director and producers, um, Greg Quidar, our director, and Clint Bentley, producer and writer, and Monique Walton, producer. They were looking at their options because we had to shoot that movie in New York State because that's where most of most of our cast is from, and most of our cast
Mhm.
were playing versions of themselves. So it had to be there, and there were just so many options that they could choose from, and we couldn't really shoot in the real Sing Sing because it was at the tail end of COVID. Um, even without it would be really hard to do anything in a functioning prison. So
Yeah.
our skeleton team only did some pickup shots of the exterior, but yeah, but the downstate correctional facility was really what we could take. Um, the scout the location scouting was more within the facility and really finding and tuning what the spaces that works for our story.
Yeah. It's um it's kind of crazy that there are like just jails available for us to shoot in or hospitals or there's so many abandoned places for us sometimes to there's especially
Mhm.
hospitals, I find. It always freaks me out. Like in Los Angeles, there's at least 5 or 6 hospitals that are abandoned
Really?
here that we like shoot at here. If you need the old one, you're down there. If you need the newer one, you're at the Third Street. Like it's it's crazy, and it's like zombie apocalypse. It's like coffee cups were left, and all the equipment is still there, and it's like it's crazy. So why do you know why they just like shut down that prison real like before you got there?
um, I think I really don't know. I
No,
think it was just politics. It was
no,
just like the you know what
no.
what the yeah political decision. But yeah, the but like even though we didn't shoot inside the real Sing Sing where our movie's based, um, the downstate correctional facility was a processing facility. That's where all the prisoners would go through before they are sent to a particular
Oh,
place to serve their time. So everyone from our cast did like a little bit of their time inside downstate correctional facility. So yeah, a
did
lot of weight going back into a place like this voluntarily.
yeah.
Um,
That had to be
yeah.
quite emotional for them.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
that's
Very much so, as well as just putting the prison uniforms back on. It was even
yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
more of a intense experience, but really like our creative team made sure there was a support system and um, had a counselor on call,
Mm,
someone who already worked with worked with these people, and but really they just had they were giving so much support to each other. They're just like they are friends, and they really, yeah, they're really tight together.
Right.
So even though like going back into a place where mm, back into such a, oppressive place and putting prison greens back on, it's a traumatic experience, but they did it regardless because they just wanted to tell the story, and like their wish to tell the story was bigger than the apprehension to
Right.
put on those clothes again.
I know I was gonna ask about like well, I'll get to it, but when you're doing their cells and everything and seeing did you have it like this? Like were you like, "Hey, did you have it like this?" Or did you like or did you
Yeah,
yeah, I mean it's a
no,
lot. It's a lot.
it's a great question. No, I had so many phone calls with our main actors. I mean, it was Divine Eye who played himself, Clarence Macklin, and then the prototype for Coleman Domingo's character is Divine G. So he was so helpful with all the
Hold on,
all the.
let me put this
Mhm.
up so we can look at it while now I have it
Okay.
takes me a second and then I do enter full screen and then you see that? Did I do
Yes.
okay. And
Oh,
then you have this beautiful stuff, but this
yeah.
and but then you have
Yeah.
his, right? I was
Yeah.
Divine Eye and Divine. This is Divine Eye.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I was confused in the movie. Who was who? But
Yeah. So we were on the phone multiple times. So most of my research about them was um, text. I was just
mm,
listening to them and taking notes, and then follow up, and then they would remember more things on how their cells would look like. Um, and then right before the shoot, when I had the set dressed, I had them come over and just see if it looked something they had, because it wasn't the real Sing Sing cell. The actual Sing Sing cell was even smaller than this one.
I know I looked
Um,
it up. I looked it up for Sing Sing and I was like, "Oh, that is like the smallest closet I've ever had. Like it was crazy how small
yeah,
those cells
yeah,
were.
yeah. But yeah, with these guys was very like actually like there was no doing anything for show or like for the sake of camera or being concerned how it looks. I was just trying to recreate how it looked like um, for them, how they put their cells together. So for now we're looking at Divine Eye, who was like at the top of the food chain
Right.
inside the prison, and he was a real thug and real drug dealer, um, lending money to correctional officers, and he was like making so much money. But so so for us, it's it just looks like a cell. But
This
if
is
you're
wealth. This is
if
a
you're someone,
yeah, this is like a wealthy person's cell in Sing Sing. This is yeah, top of the food chain.
yeah, yeah, but if you're incarcerated, then you know that having stacks of canned food means status. Like
Yeah.
that means you're up
And,
there.
and he's got blankets and color like he's got,
Yeah,
color. He's, been able to bring in a little luxury to his cell. That's what
yeah.
makes the movie. Yeah.
He color coded that. It was deliberate, and like color, like there's some colors that are forbidden, in at least in New York State. That's blue, black, orange, and gray.
It's
And
a lot.
so they can only work with whatever's left. And also, you know how people sometimes interpret blue or orange, like there's
Right.
a range. So yeah,
That's a lot.
so he threaded that needle, and he's just like, yeah, burgundy. Like what he told me, that you don't really see this in this film, but he had a pair of Jordans that were really luxurious, and he would put it under his bed. Like it would look as if he was trying to tuck it under his bed, but really it was like it was on a display for everyone to see,
Oh wow.
like to show it off.
Showed
And
off.
It was like very, yeah. On one hand, he was trying to really show his status and show off in the way how his cell looked like, but also he was just hiding drugs and alcohol and money inside the cell, and you wouldn't be able to spot it really.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and but also
Drama.
what's important that since he was a kid, he was into arts and he was drawing and painting, and he liked Shakespeare even before he got into prison. He's a he's incredible, and we recreated some of his wildlife drawings right there on the wall.
Yeah, that's
It's
great.
just a hint.
Oh, it's great. Well,
But yeah, yeah.
I mean, it definitely shows, you know, people have time on their hands and people doesn't just because you're incarcerated doesn't mean your creativity stops and, you know,
Yeah.
um,
And that picture right there on the wall, it's his real daughter and his real
uh,
grandkids. He just gave it to us.
and then
Mm.
this is the main character's Divine G,
Yeah,
which is
this is the
fantastic,
thing.
which I wish they spent a little bit more time in there. I'm sorry to say, I wish they did because there's so much to absorb. There's so much going on. I mean, I'm sure a lot of it was about his case, and it looks like a lot of family photos, and he had written a book, right? And so to
Yeah,
me, it was like there's a lot going on in this guy's mind and everything, and I just wanted more of it. And I feel like there's a great scene, but it's nighttime and you don't get to see much at all. So it's like, but how
yeah.
in developing his character cell, I'm sure he
Mhm.
was involved also.
Yeah, so same thing with Divine Eye. We just had phone calls, and he was so generous with sharing like all the materials that he could really, because his cell, the Divine Eye cell is all about the exterior and showing off, and Divine G's cell was literally his mind map. Like you could see into his brain because he was like
Yeah.
hyper focused on work, and he did so much during his like 25 years in prison, wrongful incarceration. So that's like real story. I know I'm talking like about a character, but
No, yeah, it's a real
Divine G
story.
is a
Yeah,
real
it's a real
person.
person who was wrongly
Yeah.
accused for 25 years. I mean, it's awful. It's so awful.
And he wrote like 13 novels while he was in prison. So, like, he wrote plays, he studied law to free himself, but also he helped a lot of other people, just like he does in the movie.
Hmm.
So he had like stacks of law books, and those are not just like random law books. Like, those are literally the ones that he used. Like, he sent pictures of what
Wow.
he would have. Like all the papers on the wall, those are pages from his novel. He would have checklists that were daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, just for him to have a visual reminder of what he needs to do. So, and also just like pictures of his family and his little brother, and of him breakdancing when he was young. So yeah, so like all of that was visible, and was it Divine Eye? Like his clothes were just like in a box tucked under his
Right.
bunk,
Right.
bunk bed. That's it.
It's such a wonderful challenge sometimes to decorate and design in such a confined space because your limitations are so strict and you have to get the character out visually in just so many little spots. And especially if the actor or the real person, if it's a lot of times it's not the real person playing the character, if they're helping you or they're, giving you references, it's so helpful in trying to make that work with the camera. So I think it's just wonderful how it was able, even, I mean, this is like you're peeking through an eye hole, but you get to see so much of who he is in this shot. It's really wonderful.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for noticing that. And it was really, I think, and it also speaks to how little is allowed in prison.
Yeah.
Um, starting with color, ending with like you cannot have anything metal, or so everything is so restricted, and somehow someone's personality still shines through
Yeah.
just by looking at someone's cell. And yeah, it wasn't like made for show. His walls were like this. So it was interesting for me to see um how visually impactful real things are. You could almost say like, oh, okay, you decorated it for show, but it was like this was the real thing. Like
Yeah.
we just try to recreate it as truthfully as we could.
Yeah. I mean, you get a bed, you get the locker, you get the desk and a chair, that's and a light. I mean, I'm sure from there, and then you build the character around it. It's like, and plus the lived in value of someone being in the cell for 25 years is a lot, you know?
Mm, yeah.
Um, I wanted to, though, I skipped over because I got excited about characters. The the beginning this scene, in the very first scene, when he's doing, I believe, Macbeth, and this beautiful backdrop that you gave to his character. Um, how did you create this? Is this toilet paper? I assumed it was toilet paper.
No, no, it's actually Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh, Midsummer's
It's
Night
like
Dreams.
this,
Sorry.
yeah, it's like this forest. No, but we made it out of trash bags. So those are green trash bags.
Oh, now
Um,
I get it. Because I was like, how did they do that? It's just so pretty, though.
Thank you.
The layering
No,
is so
yeah,
pretty.
yeah. So the foliage is trash bags. And this is one of the theater sets that we were not replicating
Mm,
from what they actually had in Sing Sing. It was kind of proprietary to the movie, so we just leaned into what they could have had inside the prison. Um, and yeah, just simple materials, something that's inexpensive and easy to work with. But yeah, we just used trash bags to create foliage of this forest, and then used mostly candy foil to cut out um, little butterflies and birds, and also
yeah,
just some gels.
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's it.
It really is that kind of like found material type limitation of design. It's so fun. It's so fun. Like, I'm sure when you're in it, you're like, what are we gonna do? But it is like, wow, that is, you gotta get creative in here. You only have so many materials to use. How are we gonna make this? It's great.
Yeah, it was actually a lot. It was so much fun,
Yeah,
really.
right? It's
Um,
beautiful.
yeah, and
And then they show it, but they show it wider than this shot, but this is the only one I had.
mhm,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
really nice. Um, to get to the location of the prison.
mhm,
So, was there a lot of, were you painting? Were you aging? How was it left, like the condition that you had to, and then make it,
mhm,
shoot worthy?
mhm. Mm, to be honest, not much painting at all. It was more about just selecting the right location.
Hmm.
And the at least for me, what was interesting about the selection process and where we shot it, and it's like very much a collective effort with Greg Quidar, director and cinematographer. Pat Scola was um like we were in these spaces that were just sunlit, and especially this one, it just looks like a classroom. Half the
Right.
wall is yellow and the bottom is pink, and I think you're used to different kinds of prison in movies where it's just dark and like there's one light bulb and then there's a puddle. But
Right.
really just to show that prisons are just like really oppressive architecture could be deceiving in their looks. But like sometimes the windows are blown out, but there's like barbed wire,
Yeah.
you know, you know, in front of every window. And like those windows never open. And like the pinks and yellows are so deceiving. You could think, oh, like they probably had fun, like they were fine inside this prison, but
Right.
it's a real prison, you know.
Yellow and pinks are such happy colors.
Yeah. Um,
You have,
yeah.
I mean, this room to me was this at the prison or is this somewhere else?
Yeah, so this is another decommissioned prison. Um, it is also in upstate New York.
Hmm.
It's in Warwick. Right now, it belongs to a soccer school for kids,
Mm.
but it used to be a prison, and yeah, this auditorium.
It's
Um,
gorgeous. I mean, look at that woodwork and everything. That ceiling is so fantastic.
yeah, it's incredible.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
What, how
So
long was your shooting? Like, were you shooting in the prison for like 2 weeks and then you went somewhere else, or were you back and forth, or?
yeah, yeah, no, pretty much like that. No, we shot our portion at downstate. I think it was for around 2 weeks. Then we moved into the theater, which we shot at a school that had a theater
Mm.
near the prison in Beacon, and then we moved on into this daylight theater, which was another decommissioned prison that was older.
How long was your prep for this?
That was really great. It was maybe 5 weeks.
Mm. That's quick. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to say that this is on the production side, it's not a big movie, and it's incredible. But like, just to let you know the scope. At the minimum, I was by myself. At the maximum, I was like 4 people total, our department, plus some volunteers from the school.
Right. I think it says on the credits, is it the
Mhm.
director's brother was your set dresser?
Oh, his son.
His
His
son.
son.
His son.
Yes.
So did you have a decorator on this or no?
No.
No.
No. No.
No.
No.
It was just you. It was just you
It was
and
just me. It was me and my right hand, Jacob Herbeck,
mm,
who who's this incredible guy who I met in LA, and he just had this incredible work ethic, and he had theater experience in New York and a lot of scenic painting. So he and his brother Michael Herbeck, he's also like a stage manager and just incredible guy, and also has a lot of theater experience in New York. So they were my rocks, and also Omar, he does. So we were basically, that was our team.
yeah. I also read, which you can tell me to shut up, but
Hmm.
I also read that in an effort to ensure a livable wage, everyone was provided the same wage and offered ownership and stake of the film. Is that true?
Yes.
That
Yes,
is
that's true.
awesome. That is awesome.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
And
And yeah, that's, I think, how, yeah, it just shows what this movie is about. So
yeah,
everyone, the crew, like, Oscar nominee or a PA made the same wage,
that's
like the same mint.
blows my mind. But it
Yeah.
doesn't blow my mind in a sense because you make different wages on different things and you could walk across the street and make less and doing the same job. Like it's a crazy world that we work in. But to value the people who are giving to this project so much, to say that, look, we want this to happen so much that you get paid this, but then like back end we want to share in this. That to me is like, that's like creative Hollywood. Like uh that's really doesn't happen a lot. And it's so nice to hear. I mean, I don't know if anybody's gonna become billionaires off of this or anything, but for me, if I was offered something like that, I'd be in, because that means the creative is so passionate about this project and they care so much, and I want to be a part of something like that. I think that's so fantastic. So I applaud anyone who came up with that, and I think it's great for anyone being a part of it too. I'm sure you're probably like, yeah, but I was eating crackers. But at the same time, you're a part of
No, I
this
mean,
beautiful film. I mean,
No, it's such a gift, and like people who came up with it was Greg Quidar and Clint Bentley, who are authors of this movie, and they came up with this model where everyone, just to keep the cost of making a movie lower, because even like a low budget film, I sometimes look at films if they even broke even, you
Yeah.
know, even what we call a low budget, I'm like, good luck making like whatever 2 or 4 million back.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hard.
but uh, yeah, just to be able to shoot a movie, and their back end is meaningful. It's like people like they give. It's not it's not after the main investors make their 120% back. So everyone shares it. So um, and what's also important is like this is like a model, but and a contract, but just the way the smoothie was made was just like a living proof of that. So everyone was equal. Everything was really horizontal. Everyone was like respected, and everybody's opinions really mattered. So our director, he shook hands with everyone and called them by names every single morning.
Mm.
Just like acknowledged everyone in the room. Um, so yeah, there's so much more behind that. I feel. Um,
It's such a it's
yeah.
I mean it's kind of a downer movie, but at the same time it's such a special movie. It's so heartfelt and so like you're so sad about these people's situation, but you're so enlightened by their passion to like create and be I don't know. I mean I cried. I liked it. I liked it.
Me,
Such a
me too.
such a good
I think
film.
another thing that's important to mention about this, the equity, is that not only the crew is being treated equally, which like we can all relate to, but also like this movie is is made about people and by people who live this experience, and we see their faces in front of the camera, and they are the literal owners of this movie. It's not like somebody
Yeah.
came and you know took them, and here's a movie about it. They own it, and they were able to own it when during the process of creating this film.
Yeah, it's an incredible piece of work because of like it's the real people and it's their story and it's like oh, it's really good. It's really it's really good. It's really sad,
Oh,
but it's
thank
really
you.
good. Let's talk about more of your scenery.
Oh, thank you.
I just keep thinking back to like like you have to do like found objects. So you have to like make this out of this and like paint this and not everybody's a great painter, but we're gonna make it. Like I love it. It's like
Thank you.
yeah.
So in the movie, there's this play that everyone is working on. It's called Breaking the Mummy's Code, which is a time traveling comedy, time traveling musical comedy, and it's a real play that happened in Sing Sing, created by these people. And theater director Brent Buell actually wrote it over the weekend. And it's like a book that's like this thick. It's a giant script, and I was I was given sketches and original material um, from that play. And again, I just really wanted to honor what they had, um, and really not to steer too much away from it. Just really give a little bit of, just give it a little bit of more of a color,
Yeah.
and um, but really play within the toolkit that they had, and not make it prettier or more elevated than it would have been.
Right.
And at the end of the movie, there's some footage from that.
Yeah.
You can really see like the
You
the
s-
the difference, or the creative licenses that we're taking. But so we just really had fun. Really, like with those theater sets, I think what's important is that the rehabilitation through the arts program, which is inside Sing Sing prison, they had like now they have a real like wood shop. They can make proper sets. It's not like, oh, they only had like, these little things, but in the very beginning of that program, like nobody believed them inside the prison,
Mm,
or like there was not much trust. And very first plays were like very bare bones. Like they used like toilet paper to come up with sets. And but slowly over time, when prison saw what kind of effect it had on the prison population, they slowly started to allow more and more things into the theater. That's how they were able to get costumes from outside and more means to create sets. So what we see in the movie is kind of the middle ground. Like the sets are
mm,
still very, very simple. Is those are basically just two-dimensional flats that were painted, and
right.
the balloon stands for a moon, and you know something that's like a side, but really like an oversized bed sheet with which they could have gotten from like a bed sheet supplier,
Right.
and like this giant cyc that you could just hit with any kind of color and it transports you to somewhere else. It's just super simple means, but emotionally, visually, it just, yeah, it takes you somewhere. If it's, if you need the desert, like Egyptian desert, then it's, orange. If it's like Hamlet's soliloquy, it's just like
Yeah.
purple blue, um, sunset in the graveyard. And we had this amazing volunteer, Lori, who made this skull out of um, paper towels and paper tape. It was just incredible. Um, but yeah, so yeah,
It
this
also
is really simple. I just yeah.
it also shows how they were loaned costumes in the film, and how the community kind of supports them in doing their plays and everything, which I thought was really like eye-opening too, of like how, they're supported in this program. And for people, I'm not sure, I'm sure not everybody knows about it like me, like, I don't know that this program is happening. And it's kind of a great way to be like, yeah, this is, people want to get their lives together, and this is an outlet for them, and you need to support that. If you want people to rehabilitate, like, you have to help out. You gotta like
Yeah,
give some costumes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
um,
I think what's also important, I just I just connected the dots recently that it's not that expensive to run a program like this inside of a prison.
mm,
And compared to how much it costs to incarcerate a person per year,
well,
which is like insane. Um, and really just showing how simple those sets could be. Like you don't need much, just give these, give people some uh, a chance,
yeah.
just to do it.
Yeah. I wonder, do
Yeah.
you know, now that you're the expert on rehabilitation theater, is this a national, like, do they have this in many prisons?
Mhm.
Do you know?
So I I c- like I cannot be the like the spokesperson for this by far, but our TA is in 8 prisons. I don't want to lie, but I think in New York.
Mm,
But what I've learned from multiple Q&As, I just heard Brent Buell, who's the director at Sing Sing and in the movies played by Paul Raci. I just heard him saying that he gets all these emails from other theater programs across the country, and they've never heard about each other. But now that they saw this movie, they're like, "Oh, like we're also doing it." So,
oh, that's awesome.
yeah, so like they don't really know about each other, but clearly, there it
It's
exists.
happening. Oh, that's great. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
I think the goal is like to expand it as much as possible. I recently made an introduction um with an NGO who does theater program in Lithuania. I just connected them with the people at RDA, So hopefully,
Oh, wow.
that know-how could, travel, globally.
That's amazing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Look at you. Uniting the world. This woman was a bitch. No.
She is an
She,
incredible actress.
she nailed it, but she came down hard. She was stone cold. And
Mm,
you could also feel the room, the coldness in the room. I felt. I mean, and I know they blew it out a lot, or and his side of the room is very white behind him and everything. But um, I'm assuming this was also at the prison. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
and this is an interesting story because this face does not look like much, or like it's hard to like identify it visually, like what that is. But
I know
in the
I
script we
couldn't
have,
take screenshot. I can't take screenshots of the screen. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like the angles that you and I want to talk about, I feel like I can never get. It's such a bummer because I can't take screenshots of like screener. It's such a bummer. But
Mm,
you provided you had this one luckily, so I had this. So, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah. Oh, that's fine. So yeah, like in the script, there is this parole hearing, and it's supposed to be in some kind of a courtroom. And based on all my research, I was looking for this typical courtroom. It's like wooden walls, like with a little podium for the judge. And we couldn't find it. And after scouting uh, it for a few days, the manager of the facility was like, "Well, actually, those hearings would take at any room that was available on the day, so
Mhm.
it could be just like any room." And just to give you a little bit of a perspective, like that person who is um, um person could wait for his parole hearings for like 10 years. And
Oh my God.
in the movie, like Coleman Domingo or like Divine G, he is literally, you know, fighting for his life. And just from like, architectural perspective, it just shows you that, oh, like this could happen wherever,
Right.
so like we could just put some chairs together, like use a stupid, school desk, um, and just yeah, just do this parole hearing quickly. So this space in the movie, I think on the surface it looks very benign and like very nondescript, but actually it just really shows how the system treats people.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
It,
like they don't matter really.
it's such a sad it's such a sad scene because he's there to like plead his case and she just breaks him down so easily and
Yeah,
he's kind of flustered by it and you're like, get it together, man. Get it together. This is your one chance. Don't like stutter. Don't just get it together and it's just a sad little scene in there. But
yeah,
very,
it's
very poignant.
heartbreaking, and it's actually taken from his actual parole hearing. Those are real words,
Mm. That's
and
what she said to him? Really?
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
it's taken from the transcript of his parole hearing. And actually, his parole packet is visible on those tables right here. I was like, if you ever had to print out a document, you know that 100 pages is not that much. And this was an extremely thick book of just like letters of recommendations. And yeah,
Oh, that's so
like, yeah, it really chokes you up when you actually take that. It's like a piece of prop, but it's like just like too real.
Oh, that's so sad. It's so sad because so sad to be mean to someone like that. You know? It's so sad.
Yeah.
Um, but that actress nailed it. She was a bitch. She was
Yeah.
she
I
was
mean,
evil.
we can spoil it. It's in the trailer. She has, "Are you acting right now?"
Yeah, he's like pleading out his heart of like, I'm a good person, I'm a blah, blah, and she's like, "Oh, are you in the acting program? Are you acting now?" And he's like, "No, I'm not acting now." And then it's just such a using something so good against him. It's just so sad. It's like,
Yeah.
it's, uh, Yeah. Did I have I think that was my last. That was my last slide for us. But yeah, that was that wasn't a good one to end on. I guess I shouldn't have ended on that one. What was your favorite part about this process for the film?
Oh, I mean, everything. It was just such a blessing, just such an honor to be on it, and the whole process was incredible. And it really just revitalized my love for this industry and my craft. I just felt so full, and I still feel so full. Just like whenever there's a chance to see this cast and crew, I'm out there, you know,
Yeah.
like because it just feels like such a family. Um, and I think, yeah, everyone was able to just be their best selves, like creatively and just as a person. Um, because on the creative side, we were really allowed. I'm speaking like for not only myself, I'm sure our costume designer Desiree Pesta, like her cinematographer Pat Scola, like everyone was there to shine really, and that was Greg's goal,
Mm,
really. And even what I have to point out, I think it's important for any filmmakers who work on tighter budgets or in smaller movies, which I think, that's the reality these days with like inflation is crazy and the economy is yeah, um, is insane. So like the script was more like a structure and the characters were sacred, but then there were things that we could maybe I'll say it another way. So they would never force a script onto a anything.
mm,
So if we would come up with a suggestion, hey, could we do um this instead of that because this well frankly it's easier for us and or also I just have this idea maybe to do this instead of that and they were like yeah we can rewrite the script it's fine and they would do it
that's rare.
or
That's very
yeah
rare.
or and I know I probably cannot spoil it but there were like numerous occasions where as usual, like you cannot just find a location that you need. Like
Yeah.
mm, there was a different ending to that movie based on a location, and we couldn't just get it. Like we cannot. Yeah, we just couldn't, and just that limitation, it just made I think just made the movie better. And anything that was thrown at Greg and Clint, they made lemonade out of every lemon, and
Mm.
every little thing just made the movie better. So they were just so secure in in their creative process and the way they trust other people. So yeah.
I I have lately been fortunate enough to see a couple smaller films, and it gives me such hope of like I think and I hope that the stories of independent films like in the 90s when we had that flood of like the independent films and like these filmmakers, I really hope that that's what's coming because it sparked so many great things in that future. But I feel like I hope that these smaller independent films that are coming out now really catch on and everything, and we have a wave of it because they've been great. They've just been like throwbacks to like just really important stories or like just really fun little things, and I'm just hoping like they get seen. Like I hope the audience is still there for that, for the smaller films. That's what you gotta go see the small films if you want to get big films too.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's I think it's tough.
Yeah.
Like especially like if there's a small film, like doesn't matter how good it is. It really comes down to marketing and like how you're gonna show that it exists to people and for people to want to give like 2 hours of their lives for something.
I know I don't really know. I don't know. I used to be a real dork and I used to like go to, I don't know, it was like Apple and like I used to watch all these trailers. I just watch trailers of things coming out. I don't even know where to do that anymore unless it's like I catch it in front of a movie
Mm.
or like I catch it on deadline or I just don't, and I have a million other things going on, and maybe I'm just not in tune, but I try to seek these things out too because I'm in this world. So I don't know
Mhm.
where that is anymore. I don't know where, I don't know. I guess I'm just not looking hard enough or something. I don't know. But I don't feel like it's what it used to be as like as you're saying like advertising or marketing of like the trailers coming out or like the buzz about
Mm,
this film. Like if it's not on like two or three websites, you're never going to hear
mm.
about it. But I have heard Sing I mean Sing Sing was out there before I got in contact with you. So I mean, yeah, I think yours.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
I would say that. I heard about it
Amazing.
before I was in contact with you. So that's a good
Mhm.
one.
Oh, for sure. Like, oh yeah, like it was acquired by incredible
Yeah.
distributor A24. So I'm
Yeah.
not worried about it. But in general, like you can clearly see, like there's Deadpool out.
Yeah.
Like these like one or two indie movies that someone is brave enough to pay a lot of money for like print and advertising, but all of the other ones, like however good they are, or even if if they screen at the festival and won awards, it feels
Yeah.
there must be such a hard push
You're
for people
this
to be aware of it.
the Sing Sing won at South by Southwest. They won the audience award. So that's awesome.
Yes,
That is
yes, that's
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah. That's exciting. Did you get to go?
No, but I went to Toronto. That's where we had our premiere
Oh, nice.
last year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, that's incredible. It was like the so I think nobody had seen the movie.
oh yeah.
Greg was super gracious to share like a rough cut with us to get feedback, which is another just a testament how incredible he is. Um, but we just saw this movie in its entirety with like a audience of 1,000 people, and they brought five of the cast members from New York um, to Toronto, and they walked in front of that audience who applaud like they gave them a standing ovation, like a
Oh,
record standing ovation for like Toronto.
oh, that's
So
awesome.
it's an incredibly emotional screening, really.
Oh, that's awesome. I hope a lot of people see it. It's such a heartwarming movie. Job well
Thank
done.
you.
And going into a prison. Good job. It's it's freaky. I've done that. It's scary.
Yeah,
Mm,
but it's interesting what you said about like old decommissioned prisons, because this one is like a modern, like relatively modern one, and
yeah.
it's it's actually how it looks. And I saw some people reviewing saying, "Oh, this looks like it looks like they had fun." It doesn't look like a prison, but like it is a prison. And it deceived you
Yeah,
into
because you have
thinking
scenes
it's like
like in the
actually all right.
yeah. I mean, you have scenes in the yard, you have scenes in the cafeteria, in other people's cells. I mean, you show a lot of that prison. It doesn't look fun. It
Mm,
doesn't look like a holiday, like,
yeah,
vacation spot. It's not. No, it's not.
yeah.
No.
I think it's interesting to show that that's how it looks.
Yeah,
It's the real.
that's it.
It's the real deal. It's not. Not every prison is like Shawshank Redemption, or it's like
Yeah.
super obvious. You know. Um.
I
Yeah.
think that's what you get in your head, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's leaks in the ceiling and everything's rusted, and like, you think of Alcatraz or something. But
Yeah.
I'm sure the upkeep isn't like day to day, but there there's newer facilities. Obviously, we've built newer things since like 1940. You know what I mean? We've had to. Unfortunately, we have a lot more people incarcerated than we did before. So we've
Yeah.
had to build
Yeah.
newer places. It just boggles my mind that that one was empty. Is that a good thing? Maybe we don't lock people up. Maybe we don't. Maybe that's good. I don't know.
Mm,
Or maybe they build a new place. I don't know.
I don't
Now I gotta
know.
do
I
research.
don't know.
Um,
But another thing with I don't know why I thought about this, but like our cast members, like Divine Eye, he said he's not really watching prison movies because he cannot really recognize anything that he could relate to. It just doesn't look realistic to him. Um,
Mm.
and I know we were talking about like the looks of it, but he said like in his experience, prison was where people cared for each other and were like tender to each other and gentle to each other and called each other beloved. And that's not in the popular depiction of those inside prison.
That's interesting. I would never. I want to see that film. I want to see that
I
film.
mean, that's what kind of Sing Sing is about. Just
Yeah.
to show you how, like, about the humanity within the walls of Sing Sing, um, and and this is very much crafted to their experience of
Yeah.
how it really
I would say
felt.
yes. They're
Like,
in this film. They are very kind to each other. I mean, he was a kind of bully.
yeah,
So
yes.
I mean, we have that one little side thing, but like, yeah, they were all very nice to each other. They were very caring. And I mean, one of them, unfortunately passes on, and they're all very sad, and how you deal with that. And yeah, it wasn't a typical prison movie at all, I would say, but I didn't Beloved, that's a whole different movie to me. Oh, it's me start writing that one. Get on that. Sing Sing 2. Um,
I wonder what that would be.
yeah. Um, well, thank you because I know you're on vacation and I know the time difference is crazy. So thank you for this. Um,
No, thank you so much.
I
And thank you so much for connecting so early. I know it's
Oh,
8 a.m.
oh
It's
yeah. No, I was fine. I'm up. I got kids. I so appreciate you taking the time to do with this and talk about the film. It really is special, and I hope everyone gets to see it and see your work. It was awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time,
Yeah.
and thank you so much for all your questions. They're so thoughtful. And yeah,
Oh,
again, I'm such a fan. I'm so honored
oh,
to
thank
be
you.
on your podcast.
Thank you.
There were so many walks, especially when I was in LA, that it like your podcast was my soundtrack. I just learned so much.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so
and
kind.
it's so fun.
That's so kind. Thank you. I hope you learned something besides that I'm crazy. It was so nice to speak with her. She was in Tokyo. I forgot to ask her what time it was. It was 8 a.m. for me. But yeah, it was so nice to, meet people through this and enjoy, celebrating the work that we do. And, those small films, and you're designing those or you're decorating those, and the creativity that comes out of that is really important. And it's part of the process of our communities. Like, you just can't roll up and decorate Titanic and like Babylon. You go through different steps of this process and you learn things, and this is part of it. So it was just great to connect with her. She was very sweet, and I hope the film does very well. I hope people get to see it. It's a heartbreaker, but it's good. You can also look at what we're talking about on the Decorating Pages podcast YouTube channel. Put that video up of the sets that we talk about. I'm wondering now, I should ask people, since I started doing the videos, is it harder listening to us because we're looking at pictures and now you're not looking at them? Whereas before we were just talking about things. I'm wondering how that goes, because I listen to it and I can follow along, but I already have these images in my head because I've seen the projects and I'm looking at pictures of the sets. So I'd really like to get feedback on that. If anybody has an opinion, that would be great. I hope you got an earful. I am Kim Wanup. I'll check you later. Bye-bye.